Sung sat in the back corner of the classroom. He always sat there. It was the spot where no one looked, where no one asked questions, where he could watch everything without being watched himself. The Galactic Academy for Studies was the most famous school in the known galaxy. Young beings from hundreds of worlds came here to learn, to train, and to build connections that would shape the future. The classroom was full of strange and wonderful creatures. They were tall with clicking mandibles, massive four-armed giants with skin, delicate beings who floated slightly above their seats, and small reptilians with nervous eyes. And then there were the humans, only 12 of them in a class of 200. Sung watched as instructor entered the room. The professor was tall and thin, with 6 legs and large compound eyes that saw everything at once. His voice clicked and buzzed when he spoke, but the translation devices made his words clear. "Today we discuss survival," announced, "the most important skill any being can have." A large student named laughed from the front row. He was impressive to look at, with 4 muscular arms and skin like stone. "Survival is simple," he said loudly. "Be strong, be fast, kill before you are killed." Several students nodded in agreement. Sung said nothing. "And what of those who are not strong?" asked. "What of those who are not fast?" Turned and looked directly at Sung. His yellow eyes were full of amusement. "Then they die, like the humans will die, soft skin, weak bones, short lives. They are the weakest species in this room." Some students laughed, others looked uncomfortable. The other human students shifted in their seats, embarrassed or angry. Sung did not react, his face showed nothing. He simply watched the way he watched everything else. Quiet, patient, still. A female human named Han Min sat 3 rows ahead of Sung. She did not laugh or look away. Instead, she turned slightly and looked at the quiet boy in the corner. She had noticed him on the first day of class 6 months ago. He never spoke. He never volunteered. He never drew attention to himself in any way. But Min had also noticed other things. She noticed how his eyes moved constantly, tracking everyone in the room. She noticed how he always knew where the exits were. She noticed how he chose seats that gave him a view of doors and windows. Most students thought Sung was shy. Min was not sure that was true. Instructor clicked his mandibles. "We shall see who survives and who does not. The Academy has scheduled the annual survival test." The room went quiet, even stopped smiling. "You will be transported to 7, continued. "A Class 4, toxic atmosphere zones, extreme temperatures, predatory megafauna. You will survive for 5 days and reach the extraction point. Those who fail will be removed from the Academy. Those who succeed will earn their place among the galaxy's elite." A small reptilian student named raised a shaking hand. "Class 4, that is very dangerous. Many will not survive." "That is the point," replied. "Leadership requires the ability to survive. If you cannot survive, you cannot lead." Whispers filled the room. Students from comfortable worlds looked terrified. Even the seemed less confident, were rare and feared. Most species evolved on gentle planets with stable climates and few predators, were the opposite. They were planets that seemed designed to kill. Min looked back at Sung again. She expected to see fear on his face like everyone else. She saw nothing, no fear, no worry, no reaction at all. But then something changed. His eyes, which had been empty and distant, suddenly focused. His posture shifted slightly. It was small, almost invisible, but Min caught it. He wasn't scared, he was interested. A tall, delicate being named floated next to Min. They were known for their telepathic abilities, though they rarely used them without permission. Skin was pale blue, almost transparent, and her large, dark eyes held ancient wisdom. "The human in the back," whispered. "He is different from the others." "Different how?" Min asked. "I cannot read him clearly without trying, but his mind is quiet, too quiet, like deep water hiding something beneath." Stood up from his seat and walked toward the back of the room. His heavy footsteps made the floor shake. He stopped in front of Sung's desk and looked down at him. "Little human," said loudly so everyone could hear. "Are you ready to die on 7? Perhaps you should stay behind. Clean the classrooms while real warriors test themselves." The other students watched. Some laughed nervously. The other humans looked angry but said nothing. Was huge and strong. No one wanted to challenge him. Sung looked up slowly. His dark eyes met yellow ones. He did not speak. He did not react. He simply looked. Something in that look made uncomfortable. He had expected fear. He had expected anger. He had expected the human to look away. But Sung just watched him like he was watching an animal in a cage. "Nothing to say?" asked, his voice less confident now. Sung remained silent, snorted and walked back to his seat. "Coward," he muttered. "He doesn't even have the courage to respond." But Min had seen the truth. Sung wasn't afraid to respond. He simply didn't care. His words meant nothing to him. The insults meant nothing. The laughter meant nothing. He was waiting for something, and now it seemed he had found it. 3 days later, the transport ship descended through the atmosphere of 7. The windows showed a world of dark forests, red mountains, and green toxic clouds. Lightning flashed across the sky. Strange flying creatures scattered away from the ship. The students sat in their assigned teams. Sung's team had 6 members. Himself, Min, the nervous, and a stocky amphibian named from the species, had already appointed himself leader. No one argued. It was easier to let the loud ones lead. "Stay behind me," ordered. "Do what I say, don't slow me down." Was shaking so hard his scales rattled. Sweat's skin had turned pale with fear. Even seemed worried, her blue glow dimming slightly. Min looked at Sung. He sat calmly in his seat, looking out the window at the deadly world below. His hands rested on his knees. His breathing was slow and steady. "Aren't you afraid?" she asked quietly. Sung turned to look at her. For a moment something flickered in his eyes. Not fear, not excitement, something older and deeper. "No," he said softly. It was the first word she had ever heard him speak. The ship shook as it entered the final descent. Warning lights flashed. The doors prepared to open. Sung stood up. For the first time there was something sharp in his expression, something focused, something dangerous. The quiet boy in the back of the class was gone. Something else had taken his place. The doors opened, and the hot, thick air of the rushed in. Sung stepped forward into the chaos. He was finally home. The jungle of 7 was alive with sounds, screaming birds, buzzing insects, the distant roar of something large and hungry. Every shadow held danger. Every step could be the last. Led the team through the thick vegetation. His 4 arms pushed aside branches and vines as he marched forward with confidence. The others followed behind, struggling to keep up. "Keep moving," ordered. "We need to reach high ground before dark." Tripped over a root and fell face first into the mud. His scales were covered in dirt and his eyes were wide with terror. I cannot breathe properly. The air is too thick." "Then die here," said without stopping. "I will not carry you." Min helped stand up. "Breathe slowly," she told him. "Your body will adjust." There was having his own problems. His amphibian skin was drying out in the heat. He kept looking for water but found none. "I need moisture," he said weakly. "My skin is cracking." "There is a stream nearby," Sung said quietly. Everyone stopped and looked at him. It was only the second time they had heard him speak. Laughed. "How would you know that? You have never been to this world." "I can hear it," Sung replied. "Running water to the east, maybe 200 meters." His yellow eyes narrowed. "I hear nothing." "Human ears are different," Min explained. "We hear a wider range of sounds." Did not believe them but was suffering. They changed direction and walked east. After exactly 200 meters, they found a small stream cutting through the jungle floor. Threw himself into the water with relief. His skin immediately began to regain its healthy color, drank deeply, calming his nerves. Floated close to Sung. Her large dark eyes studied him with curiosity. You knew exactly how far. How? Sung shrugged. Sound travels at a certain speed. The echo told me the distance. Impressive, admitted. Most species cannot calculate such things naturally. Humans had to, Min said. On Earth, knowing where water was could mean life or death. Said nothing, but his expression had changed slightly, less dismissive, more thoughtful. They made camp on a rocky hill as the sun began to set. The sky turned deep purple, then black. 3 moons rose above the tree line, casting strange silver shadows across the landscape. I will take first watch, announced. Everyone else sleep. Sung did not sleep. He sat with his back against a rock, watching the darkness beyond their small camp. His eyes moved constantly, tracking every sound, every movement. Min sat next to him. You should rest. I will rest when we are safe, he replied. Will we ever be safe here? Sung considered the question. Safe is a feeling. Survival is a skill. I focus on survival. You speak like someone who has done this before. Not this exactly, but similar. Before Min could ask more, a sound cut through the night. A high, wailing cry that echoed across the jungle. Then another. Then a dozen more. Jumped to his feet. What is that? Predators, Sung said calmly. Pack hunters, they have found us. The sounds grew closer. Glowing eyes appeared in the darkness. Dozens of them. The creatures began to emerge from the shadows. They were fast, low to the ground, with too many legs and mouths full of sharp teeth. Night stalkers, whispered with horror. They are supposed to be extinct on this continent. They are not, said, his voice breaking with fear. Roared and charged at the nearest creature. His 4 arms swung with tremendous power, crushing one stalker against a tree. But 3 more leaped onto his back, biting and clawing. Help him, shouted. Tried to use her telepathy to confuse the creatures, but their minds were too primitive, too hungry. They felt nothing but the need to kill and eat. Ran, he simply turned and fled into the darkness. His screams echoed back a moment later, then went silent. Froze completely. His body locked up with fear. He could not move, could not think, could not do anything but watch death approach. Threw the creatures off his back, but he was bleeding from a dozen wounds. More stalkers were coming. There were too many. Sung moved. He did not panic. He did not hesitate. He did not waste a single motion. He grabbed a burning branch from their small fire and thrust it at the nearest stalker. The creatures screamed and retreated. They feared fire. All primitive predators feared fire. Min, he said sharply, more fire make a circle. She understood immediately. She grabbed more branches, lit them, and began creating a ring of flame around their position. Sung ran to a pile of loose rocks at the edge of the hill. He kicked them down the slope toward a group of stalkers climbing up. The small avalanche knocked several creatures down and blocked their path. Sung shouted, "Don't fight them all, just block the gap." Bleeding and exhausted, moved to the only opening in their fire circle. His massive body blocked the path. The stalkers could not get through without facing both flame and fists. One stalker tried to leap over the flames. Sung was waiting. He swung his burning branch and caught the creature midair. It fell into the fire, howling. Another stalker grabbed leg. The screamed. Sung was there in a second, driving the creature back with flame and precise strikes. Lead them that way, Sung told, pointing toward a distant glow in the jungle. Another predator's territory. They will not follow. How do you know? Different smell, different sounds. Pack hunters respect territory. Did not question him. She floated forward, using her telepathy to draw the stalker's attention. She moved toward the boundary Sung had indicated. The stalkers followed her, driven by hunger and instinct. They crossed into the other territory. A massive roar shook the jungle. Something huge and angry did not appreciate visitors. The stalkers scattered in every direction, forgetting their prey in their rush to escape. Returned to the camp shaking. It worked, they are gone. Silence fell over the group. The fire crackled. The moon shone down on the survivors. Sat heavily on a rock. His wounds were serious but not fatal. He looked at Sung with an expression no one had ever seen on his face before. Respect. Hao asked, how did you know what to do? Sung was checking his leg wound. It was not deep. Predators are simple. They want food. They fear pain. They respect territory. Use those things against them. But you moved so fast. You didn't think, you just knew. I did think. I always think. I just think quickly. Min bandaged wounds with supplies from her pack. Where did you learn this? She asked Sung. This isn't academy training. Sung was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke. My grandfather grew up in the mountains of Earth. He taught me how to survive, how to read animals, how to use the land. Earth is a civilized world, said. Technology everywhere. Why would you need such skills? Sung looked at them with something close to pity. Because Earth is not civilized. Not really. Beneath the cities and the machines, it is still humans just learn to pretend otherwise. Floated closer. She had been quiet since their escape. Her pale blue skin was even paler now. I tried to read your mind during the attack, she admitted. I wanted to understand. Sung looked at her. What did you see? His voice trembled slightly. Your mind. It never stops. Even now you are calculating escape routes, tracking sounds, measuring distances. You were doing it during the attack too, running scenarios, predicting movements. It was terrifying. Min stared at Sung. Is that true? He nodded slightly. Humans call it hypervigilance. Some of us are born with it. We cannot turn it off. We see danger everywhere always. Most people think it is a weakness, a disorder. And is it? Asked. Sung looked out at the dark jungle. Somewhere in the distance something roared, something died. The night was full of hunters and hunted. On soft worlds, yes, it is a weakness. He turned back to face them. On it is survival. Whispered to Min as they settled in to wait for dawn. Her voice was soft but shaken. His mind never stops. He has been preparing for death his entire life. Min looked at the quiet human standing guard at the edge of the firelight. He watched the darkness like he was part of it. She wondered what else he was hiding. Morning came slowly to 7. The 3 moons faded as a red sun climbed above the horizon. The jungle steamed as heat replaced the cold of night. The team moved through the dense vegetation in silence. Still led, but now he looked back at Sung before making decisions. Thus pride was wounded, but he was not stupid. He knew who had saved them. Was dead. They had found his body at dawn, or what remained of it. No one spoke about it. There was nothing to say. The extraction point is 40 kilometers north, Min said, checking her navigation device. We need to cross the Crimson Valley to reach it. The valley is the most dangerous zone on this continent, warned. The Academy briefings were clear about avoiding it. There is no other path, growled. The mountains to the east are impassable. The swamps to the west are filled with toxic gas. The valley is our only option. Sung studied the terrain ahead. Red-colored trees stretched into the distance. The ground was covered with strange plants that seemed to move on their own. Everything about the valley screamed danger. We go through, he said quietly, fast and careful. They entered the Crimson Valley as the sun reached its highest point. The heat was brutal. Suffered most, his amphibian skin constantly losing moisture. They stopped often to let him recover. I am slowing everyone down, said miserably. Perhaps you should leave me. No, Sung replied simply. But I am useless. I cannot fight. I cannot keep up. I am just a burden. Sung knelt next to his voice was calm but firm. Everyone has value. You see things others miss. You notice small details that will save us eventually. Looked surprised. No one had ever told him he had value before. He nodded slowly and stood up. They continued forward. As they moved deeper into the valley, they began to see signs of other teams. Broken equipment, discarded supplies, emergency beacon signals in the distance. Others are failing, observed. The tests are harder than expected. The Academy underestimated this world, said, or they overestimated us. They found the first survivor an hour later. She was lying beneath a fallen tree, barely conscious. Human, female, young. Her uniform was torn and stained with blood. One leg was bent at a wrong angle. She's alive, Min said, rushing to her side. Barely. Sung recognized her from class. 1. She was a quiet student like himself, though more social. She had smiled at him once in the hallway. He remembered that. 1, he said, kneeling beside her. Can you hear me? Her eyes opened slightly. Sung, is that you? Her voice was weak, broken. My team, they left me, said I was slowing them down. Which team? Demanded. Team 7. After my leg broke, they just left. His expression darkened. Cowards leaving their own to die. Min examined one's leg. It's bad, she can't walk. We need to carry her. That will slow us significantly, pointed out. The extraction point is still far. The deadline is in 2 days. Turned to Sung. In the short time since the night attack, they had learned to look to the quiet human for guidance. What do we do? Sung stood up. He looked at one, then at the valley ahead, then at his team. His face showed nothing, but his mind was calculating, always calculating. We take her, he said. That is not logical, argued gently. Our chances of reaching extraction decrease significantly. We may all die trying to save one person. Then we die together. Stared at him. You would risk everyone for one injured human. Yes. Why? Sung met the eyes. Because that is how humans survive. We don't leave our own behind, ever. It is not strategy. It is not logic. It is something deeper. Something that kept us alive when everything on our world wanted us dead. Min nodded. He's right. Humans are pack animals. We protect our pack. It's in our blood. Even if it kills you? Asked. Especially then, Sung replied. A human who abandons their people is already dead inside. Survival without honor is not survival. Was quiet for a long moment. Then he bent down and carefully lifted one in his massive arms. She weighed almost nothing to him. Then we move fast, said. I will carry her, you lead the way. They pressed on through the valley. The heat grew worse. Strange sounds followed them through the red forest. Shadows moved between the trees. As they walked, spoke to Sung. His voice was different now, curious instead of mocking. You spoke of Earth being I always heard it was a garden planet. Green and blue, water everywhere. It looks beautiful, Sung agreed. But beauty hides danger. Earth has earthquakes that level cities, storms that destroy everything in their path, oceans that swallow ships without trace, volcanoes that bury civilizations in ash. Natural disasters exist on many worlds. Earth has more and worse, but that is not what makes it Sung ducked under a low branch. It is the life that evolved there. Everything competes, everything fights, everything adapts to kill or avoid being killed. Even plants. Especially plants. We have plants that eat insects, plants that poison anything that touches them, plants that strangle other plants, and the animals. Sung paused. We have millions of species. Many of them can kill humans, venomous snakes, giant predators, tiny insects that carry diseases, parasites that live inside your body and eat you from within. Shuddered, that sounds terrible. It is, but humans survived. We could not outrun predators, so we learned to think ahead of them. We could not defeat diseases, so we learned to understand them. We could not control nature, so we learned to adapt to it. And the other humans asked, did you fight each other too? Sung's expression darkened slightly. Always, since the beginning, we competed for food, water, land, resources. We developed weapons to kill each other more efficiently. We waged wars that destroyed entire nations. That is barbaric, said. Yes, but it also made us strong. We learned every way to hurt each other, and we learned every way to protect each other. He looked at one in his arms. The same instinct that drove humans to war also drives us to protect our families, our friends, our tribes. Love and violence come from the same place in the human heart. They walked in silence after that. Each alien was thinking about what they had learned. Humans were not the weak, fragile creatures they had believed. They were survivors of a brutal world, forged by endless struggle into something terrifying and wonderful at the same time. The edge of the valley appeared as the sun began to set. Beyond it lay rocky terrain leading to the final stretch before extraction. They had survived the most dangerous zone. But the sky was changing. Dark clouds gathered on the horizon. Wind began to pick up, bending the red trees sideways. "Storm coming," said nervously. "A big one." Sung studied the clouds. His expression was calm, almost amused. "Is that funny?" asked. "A little," Sung pointed at the approaching darkness. "On Earth, we call that a monsoon. I grew up with storms like that every year." "You can survive this." "I can survive anything." He looked at his team. "And so can you. Follow me." They began moving toward a cave system visible in the rocky hills ahead. The wind was already howling. Rain began to fall in heavy sheets. One stirred in his arms. "Are we going to die?" she asked weakly. Sung looked back at her. For a moment something warm crossed his face. Not quite a smile, but close. "No," he said, "not today." The storm hit with full force as they reached the caves. The world outside became chaos, but inside they were safe. For now, the cave was larger than it appeared from outside. Tunnels branched off in several directions, going deep into the rock. Water dripped from the ceiling and collected in small pools along the floor. Outside, the storm raged. Lightning split the sky every few seconds. Thunder shook the ground. Rain fell so hard it sounded like 1,000 drums beating at once. "We cannot move until this passes," Min said. "The winds would kill us." "How long will it last?" asked. Sung listened to the storm. "Hours, maybe longer. This is not a normal storm. The weather system on this planet is unstable." They set one down carefully on a flat rock. Her condition was getting worse. The broken leg had swollen badly, and her skin was hot with fever. "She needs medical treatment," said. "Without it, she may not survive." "We have basic supplies," Min replied. "I can stabilize her, but she needs real help soon." The team settled in to wait, found a pool of clean water and submerged himself with relief, sat at the cave entrance, watching the storm with grim fascination, meditated in a corner, her blue glow soft in the darkness. Sung explored the cave. He walked through each tunnel, checking for dangers and exits. Old habits: always know your environment, always have an escape route. An hour passed, then two. The storm did not weaken. Then they heard voices. Shapes appeared at the cave entrance. 3 other teams had found the same shelter. 12 more students stumbled inside, soaking wet and terrified. Among them was Team 7, the team that had abandoned 1. Their leader was unnamed, nearly as large as. He saw one lying on the rock and stopped. "She's still alive," said with surprise. "I thought the valley would finish her." Stood up slowly, his forearms flexed. "You left her to die." "She was slowing us down. It was the logical choice." "It was cowardice." Laughed. "Cowardice. From the species that cowers at the back of every classroom. Humans are barely worth saving. We did her a favor. Quick death is better than slow suffering." Sung stepped out of the shadows. He had been watching silently, waiting, his dark eyes fixed on. "She is not dead," he said quietly, and she is under my protection now. Looked at him with contempt. Who are you to protect anyone? The quiet one, the invisible boy. I've seen you in class. You never speak, you never act. You are nothing. I am human. That means nothing. Sung took a step forward. His voice remained calm. It means everything. You don't understand what you're dealing with. Moved toward him. The towered over the human by more than a meter. His muscles could crush bones. His species was known throughout the galaxy as warriors. What am I dealing with? Asked mockingly. A soft little creature from a soft little world. What could you possibly do to me? Sung did not back away. He did not show fear. He simply looked up at the massive alien with empty eyes. Humans have been fighting each other for 10,000 years, he said. We learned every way to kill, every weak point, every vulnerability. We studied anatomy, biology, psychology. We learned to fight bigger enemies, stronger enemies, faster enemies. We learned to fight even when we could not win. Pretty words, meaningless. Then let me show you. Swung, it was fast, brutal, a blow that could shatter stone. It hit nothing. Sung moved like water. He stepped inside's reach, avoiding the strike by centimeters. His hand shot out and hit a specific point on this arm, then another point, then a third. His arm went limp. The massive limb hung uselessly at his side. Nerve clusters, Sung explained calmly. Every species has them. Pressure points where the nerves gather. Hit them correctly and the limb stops working. Roared and swung with his other 3 arms. Sung ducked, dodged, and moved. Each motion was precise. Economical, he wasted nothing. Strike, another arm went dead. Strike's leg buckled. Strike, the fell to his knees. Sung stood before him. He had not thrown a single punch meant to hurt. He had not tried to cause damage. He had simply disabled his opponent with surgical precision. Humans don't fight with strength, Min said to the watching students. We fight with knowledge. We studied every species we met. We learned their bodies, their weaknesses, their fears, because we had to, because we were always smaller, always weaker. We survived by being smarter. Tried to stand but could not. His limbs would not respond. He looked at Sung with something new in his eyes. Fear. What are you? He whispered. I am what Earth made me, Sung replied. A predator in a prey's body. Now you understand why humans are still alive. He stepped back. The fight was over. He had not needed to hurt to defeat him. The cave was silent. Every species present stared at the quiet human with new understanding. This was not what they had been taught about humans. This was not the weak, fragile species from the Academy lectures. This was something else entirely. Helped to his feet. The nerve effects would wear off in time. No permanent damage, but the lesson would remain forever. We should work together, Sung said to the gathered teams. The storm is getting worse. Resources are limited. Fighting each other helps no one. Why should we listen to you? One of the other students asked. Because I know how to survive. Because I can get us to extraction. Because I have done nothing but prepare for situations like this my entire life. Floated forward. He speaks the truth. I have seen his mind. He calculates constantly, every scenario, every outcome. He is always thinking about survival. Min stood next to Sung. On Earth, when disaster strikes, humans come together. We share resources. We protect the weak. We organize and cooperate. That is how we survived ice ages, plagues, and wars. That is how we will survive this. One by one, the students nodded. Even those who had feared humans moments ago now looked at Sung with respect. He did not waste time. He began organizing immediately. You, he pointed at a tall, check the cave tunnels for other exits. We need escape routes. You 3, gather water from the pools. Purify it if you can. Guard the entrance. Nothing gets in without us knowing. Monitor 1, tell me immediately if her condition changes. People moved. Orders were followed. The chaos of frightened individuals became an organized group with a shared purpose. Watched with wonder. How does he do that? A moment ago, they didn't even know his name. Min smiled slightly. That's what humans do. We lead, not because we're the biggest or strongest, but because we refuse to give up. People follow those who never stop trying. The storm raged through the night. Inside the cave, survivors from 5 different worlds worked together under the guidance of a quiet human boy who had never spoken in class. Outside, the wind screamed. Inside, there was purpose. When dawn finally came, the storm began to weaken. Sung stood at the cave entrance, looking out at the destruction. "We move soon," he announced. "Extraction is 12 kilometers north." "There's something between us and extraction," the reported. "I saw it from a higher tunnel, something big." "How big?" "Very big. I think it's a titan." Silence fell. The titan was supposed to be extinct, a legend, a monster from the planet's prehistoric past. Apparently, the legends were wrong. Sung looked at the distant shape blocking their path. His expression did not change. "Then we deal with it," he said simply. Behind him, 30 students from a dozen worlds waited for orders. They had found their leader. The Titan stood in the only path to extraction, 20 meters tall, armored plates covering its body like shields, 6 legs thick as tree trunks, a head crowned with horns and filled with teeth the size of swords. It was magnificent, it was terrifying, it was directly in their way. "The Academy said these were extinct," whispered. "The Academy was wrong about many things," replied. They watched from a safe distance as the Titan moved slowly across the rocky terrain. It was territorial, patrolling its domain with ancient purpose. Nothing challenged it. Nothing dared. Instructor contacted them through the emergency channel. His clicking voice was tense. "All surviving teams avoid the Titan at all costs. Extraction will be delayed until it moves. Stay hidden." "How long?" Sung asked. "Unknown. These creatures can patrol the same territory for weeks." One's fever had gotten worse. She was barely conscious now. Her breathing was shallow and rapid. "She doesn't have weeks," Min said. "She doesn't have days. She needs medical care now." Sung looked at one. Her face was pale. Her eyes were closed. She had trusted him to protect her. He had promised she would not die. He would keep that promise. "I'll draw it away," he said. Everyone turned to stare at him. "That's suicide," said. "One human against that thing, you wouldn't last a minute." "I won't fight it, I'll exhaust it." "Exhaust it, how?" Sung pointed at the Titan. "Look at it. Massive body, heavy armor, short legs compared to its size. That creature was built for power, not endurance. It can crush anything in short combat, but it cannot run for long distances." "And you can." "Yes, humans are the greatest endurance runners in the known galaxy. We evolved to chase prey across entire continents. We don't stop. We don't tire. We keep going when everything else falls down." Min understood. Persistence hunting. Our ancestors did this on Earth. They would follow animals for hours, days even, until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. "Exactly," Sung said. "I keep it moving. I keep it chasing. Eventually, it will be too tired to continue. Then you take everyone to extraction." "You'll die," said. "Even if your plan works, you'll die from exhaustion yourself." "Maybe, maybe not." Stepped forward, his expression was strange, conflicted. "I called you weak. I mocked you. I said humans were worthless. I was wrong." He paused. "I won't let you die proving me right. I'm coming with you." "No, you're not built for endurance either." "I'm built for strength. When it gets tired, I'll hit it, buy you rest. We do this together." Min grabbed her pack. "I'm coming too. Humans work in groups. We take turns, share the burden." Floated forward. "I can confuse its senses with telepathy, make it chase shadows, give you time to recover." One by one, others volunteered. Not all, not even most, but enough. Sung looked at them. For a moment something crossed his face, something that might have been emotion, gratitude, wonder, connection. Then it was gone, replaced by focus. "All right," he said, "here's the plan." They moved an hour later. Sung led 4 volunteers toward the Titan while, humbled and obedient, guided the wounded and weak toward extraction by a longer hidden route. The Titan noticed them immediately. Its massive head turned. Ancient eyes, older than civilization, focused on the small creatures approaching its territory. Sung ran. Not away, toward. He sprinted at the creature, waving his arms and shouting. The Titan roared and charged. The ground shook. Each footstep was like thunder. The creature was fast, terrifyingly fast for its size, but Sung had calculated the distances. He turned and ran, staying just ahead of the snapping jaws. Attacked from the side, slamming his 4 fists against the Titan's leg. The creature barely noticed, but it turned toward the new threat. That gave Sung time to circle around. "Keep it spinning," Sung called. "Never let it rest." Used her telepathy, creating illusions of prey in different directions. The Titan lunged at shadows, wasting energy on nothing. Min threw rocks and debris, drawing attention whenever someone else needed to recover. She wasn't strong or fast, but she was smart. She knew when to move and when to hide. The battle became a dance. 4 small beings against 1 giant. They didn't try to hurt it, they just kept it moving. Minutes became hours. The sun moved across the sky. Sweat poured down Sung's face. His legs burned. His lungs screamed for rest. He did not stop. The Titan's movement slowed. Its roars became weaker. It was confused and exhausted, chasing enemies it could not catch. Collapsed first. His species was powerful but burned energy quickly. He had given everything he had. Min dragged him to safety behind a rock formation. Glow dimmed to almost nothing. Her telepathic abilities were depleted. She could barely float. "I cannot continue," she admitted. "I'm sorry." "You did enough," Sung gasped. "Go help the others." Now it was just Sung and the Titan. The creature was tired, but it was also angry. It focused entirely on the small human who refused to stop. Every time it thought the prey was done, the human would run again. Sung's vision blurred. His body was failing. Every step was agony, but somewhere deep inside, a voice reminded him of who he was. A survivor, a child of Earth, the product of millions of years of evolution that had created the perfect endurance hunter. He would not stop. The Titan swayed. Its massive legs trembled. It tried to roar but produced only a weak sound. Then slowly, impossibly, it sank to the ground. Exhausted, defeated, not dead but unable to continue. Sung stood 50 meters away. He could barely stand himself. His legs gave out and he fell to his knees. But he was alive, and the path was clear. They reached extraction as the second sun set. Medical teams rushed to help one. She would survive. They all would. Instructor was waiting. His compound eyes studied Sung for a long moment. "You did the impossible," said. "You defeated a Titan without weapons, with nothing but endurance." "I didn't defeat it," Sung replied weakly. "I just outlasted it." "That is what defeats mean, young human. You lasted, it didn't." The trip back to the academy was quiet. Students from a dozen worlds looked at the humans differently now, not with pity or contempt, with respect, with wonder, with a little fear. Found Sung in the ship's observation deck, looking at the stars. "I have told everyone what you did," said. "What humans can do, they will tell others. Soon the whole galaxy will know." "Know what?" "That humans aren't weak. They're the most terrifying species in the galaxy, because they never, ever give up." Sung was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke. "We don't think of ourselves as terrifying. We're just trying to survive like everyone else." "That's what makes you terrifying," said. "You think survival is normal. You think endurance is natural. You don't realize that what you do casually would destroy other species. Sung had no answer for that. A week later, class resumed at the academy. The same room, the same seats, the same instructor clicking at the front. But everything had changed. Sung sat in his usual corner at the back. Old habits, he still liked to watch. But now others watched him too, not with mockery, with respect. Today we continue our discussion of survival, instructor announced. Based on recent events, I believe we have much to learn. Does anyone have questions? The room was silent. Then slowly Sung raised his hand. It was the first time he had ever volunteered in class. His mandibles clicked with what might have been surprise. Yes, Sung. I have a question about next semester's wilderness training. Will we be visiting any planets more challenging than 7? The class stared, even seemed caught off guard. You want something more challenging. Sung's face remained calm, but there was something new in his eyes. Confidence, purpose, life. I want to see what else is out there, he said. I want to test myself. I want to show others what humans can really do. Laughed from the front row, not mockingly this time, with genuine warmth. Be careful what you wish for, they said. The galaxy might not survive. The class laughed. Even Sung smiled slightly. He was still the quiet one. He would always be the quiet one. But now everyone knew what that quietness hid. Not weakness, not fear, not nothing. A survivor, a human, something the galaxy had never truly understood until now. And they were only beginning to learn.